Jay, the Seattle Seahawks are the number one seed from the NFC, go up against the San Francisco 49ers.
Welcome
Jay,
back, everybody. I'm Jay.
I also think will be helpful as well. Where can San Francisco attack the Seattle Seahawks defense? Because their defense is stellar as well. So where's Kyle Shanahan going to look to attack?
Well, I think the bye is a hindrance. If you look at Sam Darnold after buys, he's complete ass through his career. So I think that's a problem going in. Somehow a video from our channel just played on the live stream. I'm not sure what happened.
What a crazy what was that? I don't know. And it didn't, like, Jay, that, the take of it was about the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously that, that, what was that? That was crazy. But welcome everybody. Hello to the show. This is the Yankee and the Brit, and welcome and in for joining us. We're going to be talking about the championship rounds of the NFL playoffs this week. But first, we're going to be reacting to the divisional rounds, looking ahead to the NFC and AFC Championship rounds, and then talking about the coaching carousel to finish off. Jay, what a week. Another great week of playoff football. We got some overtime games. We got some good controversy. We got a few surprises in terms of like some dominant teams out there as well. What did you make of the divisional round as a whole?
I think the playoffs as a whole have been really good, but I do have some issues.
Yeah, and I think we're about to get to one of those issues now. So let's first of all talk about divisional round reactions, and we'll start with the Denver Broncos versus the Buffalo Bills. Jay, I'm going to imagine that one of your issues was about the refereeing in this game. And yeah, so the question that I'm
just going to leave that there, the whole fucking conversation.
No, take it. The question that I have to ask, Jay, is not necessarily talking about the specific calls themselves, because I think like everybody says it and everybody's been talking about the calls, but what do we actually do to make it stop feeling like referees are just taking over important games here? Because whether you agree with the call or not, it is the problem that referees are taking over the game, and it makes it feel like the game's been overtaken. So what are you meant to do here?
Okay, I got a solution, but it's going to cost the NFL money.
Well, it's not like they don't have any.
Right. You start a farm system where people get trained to be referees, like they do at these performance centers for kids coming out of high school, going into college going into the pros. They have the performance centers for these young athletes to go get ready for their sport, like IMG or whatever else, right? You start one of these for people who want to ref. And as refs do horrible shit, you rotate them the fuck out. You're gone. You're gone. Like, and then refs are either going to get it or they're going to be gone, and we're going to have better refs. But you have to have a pool of people training for these jobs, and that is not something they're doing. And because the NFL did the lockout and it went so bad with the fill-in refs, these refs union had them by the balls. They wrote up a contract that the NFL couldn't even speak to them until the contract was up. Wasn't even allowed to talk to them. Like, they need to do something to get and more technology being used correctly. Like, we were lied to about the first downs are now going to be measured by the ball. Well, no, it's not. It's where they spot it, and then that's
where they spot it. It's just that annoyed the fuck out of me all season. The fact that it's where they spot it still, because I thought the chain was a mad way to measure anything, but that wasn't my actual problem with the measurement. Like, the problem is the ball placement, not the problem that they bring the chains out to measure it. That makes no sense to me. Jay, I agree with you on that. I feel like there does need to be more support and more training for the refs as well. And like through that farm system, you don't just get the ability to like take refs in and out of the game, right? It's not like you have that. That's a great thing to be able to have, but it also means you allow for training as well. But Jay, I think like the thing that you can most compare this to is like problems that some countries have in their education systems, right? Where certain problems do get blamed on bad teachers, because there are bad teachers, because no one wants to fucking be teachers, and the training for teachers is so horrible that no one wants to come in. So you get bad teachers, like you get guys like football PE coaches like teaching history. You get that happens because you don't have enough people to come in and replace them. But then what you also have is a group of people at the top who write who write the way things that have to be in the classroom. They write the syllabus that you have to teach. They write all of these things, and it becomes so confusing and doesn't make any sense because they don't do the job of teaching themselves. And that's what's happening with the referees too. So not only do you have bad referees not getting replaced, but you also have rules and laws of the game that are written up so confusingly that they don't make sense. Because I don't know whether that's a catch or not. That's my problem, because the ball has to survive the ground, and it doesn't survive the ground. It is in the other player's hands when it survives the ground as well.
He rolls on his back. He rolls on his fucking back. That's surviving the ground.
Exactly, but that's my point. Like the fact that they've written that in there, the fact that that's written in there would suggest to me that it could be a catch and not a catch, and there should be no point where we're at that point in the game where it should be a catch or not a catch. Or those two pass interference calls that get the Broncos into field goal range. It's like, okay, I could see why they're pass interference, but you've been kind of swallowing the whistle the whole game, and those kind of things as well. And it's the rules that need clarifying, as well as bad referees need to be whipped out of the game as well. I just think it's all just a mess.
I truly believe that somebody had something riding on this to somewhat that Denver makes the NFC or AFC Championship game. If it's the NFL, if it's a ref, if it's something, this is one of the worst officiating games. And you didn't have to do this. The Bills were beating themselves. The Bills were going to do everything they could to lose this game. Josh Allen played like ass. You didn't have to do any of this. But yet now, this week, nobody's talking about all the other amazing games that went on. They're talking about this bullshit because the NFL just can't get it right. And how the richest league in the fucking world can't get it right is beyond me. Like, I don't understand how you can't get it fucking right. And the problem, it has to be that they're so cheap that they will squeeze a quarter till the eagle screams, because this could be fixed with technology and training.
Yeah, and exactly.
If you can't tell, I'm pissed off.
I think it's no, but I think you're right, because I'm sick of coming on the show that we both love talking about football so much, and we have to talk about refereeing all the time. Like I hate it, and I'm at the point where I defend the referees even though they're shit, because it's now at the point where it's not their fault that they're shit. Like, because it's just so unclear. Like, the rules are so unclear, and they're 60, 70-year-old men trying to decide these things. They shouldn't be doing it. They should have retired ages ago, but they're told constantly they're the best because there's no one to come and replace them either. So they were terrible. The league needs to really sort it out, and you just end up like in this disgusting situation that we're in again.
The league made it 20 times worse too, because they didn't even have a replay. They did not review this fucking play. It did not go to any kind of review whatsoever. Not their expedited review, not a regular review. Like, they didn't even look at it. They just said, yep, that's a fucking interception. And it's like, and here's the problem. If you go across all of these sports networks, every offensive guy is saying it's a fucking completion. Every defensive guy is saying it's a fucking interception. Except for Joe Burrow. But, like, at this point, Joe, you just need to shut the fuck up and worry about what's going on in Cincinnati, because you just helped keep the worst coach in the league on your team. So I'm not sure if Joe Burrow should even be speaking at this point. And don't get me wrong, Joe Burrow's amazing, but he fucked himself. And so going into next year, I got no sympathy for whatever happens to Cincinnati, because Joe Burrow kept one of the worst coaches in the league.
Yeah, but with the reffing thing, I guess that's exactly what I mean when I say the rules are just confusing as well, because you're able to debate. Like, it shouldn't really be up for debate this much. It shouldn't be this much up for debate. What I think rugby does quite well in this situation, for example, and it's totally different because there's not billions riding on it. There's not like billions of advertising money riding on it and all of that kind of stuff. But what rugby does quite well in this situation is during video replays, the stadium and everybody at home can hear the refs and cricket does the same, but you can hear like the refs and the television ref talking about it, like talking through the decision. So then at least, even if you disagree with the decision, you can kind of at least see the thought process that goes into the decision. So it's like, okay, we're not being cheated here. I can see what you're talking about. I don't necessarily agree. But you know, and you can end up in those situations. So just a bit more transparency. It's the same with the Premier League as well. They don't have this transparency. So then fans are just sat like going, well, someone needs to tell me what's happened there because I just don't understand. Like none of us know why that call was given. So we're just going to assume that it's something nefarious and wrong. But so just a bit more transparency would be helpful. But one of the issues of that is I don't actually think the refs know what they're fucking doing. So it's not going to work there either.
And it's not fair to the fans. Could you imagine being a Buffalo fan right now? Like, could you imagine like all the heartbreak they've had and now you got this shit, no matter like catch or not, like the way this whole thing went down. Like, it's just horrible for those fans too. Like, I'm not even a Buffalo fan and this pissed me off.
And like Sean McDermott's lost his job on these refereeing calls, but it's not on the refereeing calls. Like, we're going to move on. Let's move on and actually talk about the game in a sec. But like, it's not on the refereeing calls. They had 4 and a bit quarters of football to win this game, and they beat themselves entirely throughout the entire game. But Sean McDermott loses his job, and it's a bit like, if those refereeing calls don't go that way, then Sean McDermott still has his job right now. And
does he?
Kind of thing. Well, he has his job
keep
now.
His job though. Well, yeah, but does he keep it? Because the owner came out and said the reason he's gone is because he wanted to air their grievances in public last week.
Yeah.
Because he came out through being under the bus for drafting Pullman, and then he wanted to blame it all on that in the media. And the owner's like, you guys are supposed to be working together. We're not going to have somebody on this team who's trying to like rip it in half, right? And play the blame game. So you're gone. And then Brandon Beane gets promoted to president.
I think some Machiavellian shit has been going on behind the scenes with Brandon Beane there.
Like, well, they're always closer to the GM. They're in the box with the GM during the game.
Exactly.
Like they're always. But I get that you can't have your head coach out there throwing your fucking GM under the bus in a fucking press conference.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I agree with that. But you know, where's that source coming from? And it's like the GM like putting it in his ear, and the GM
makes me think McDermott wanted out.
Huh?
It makes me think McDermott wanted out. Like, it makes me think that he knows he can get another job and he just wants out of there. That's what it makes me feel like. I'm not saying that's true, but that's just how I felt when I heard the whole situation.
McDermott has seen the Steelers job still available, the Ravens job still available, the Browns job still available, the Cardinals job still available, and gone, well, I could just coach at any of these and not have to deal with this shit like anymore. Like, isn't it? Like that's how it does kind of semi feel to me. Like he hasn't stepped down, but he was doing his best to get himself fired. Is what it semi sounds like to me.
And I don't want to get into left field. I'm just going to throw this out there. Put it in the comments if you're watching. Tell me what you think. But my personal opinion is I don't know how the Browns job is still open. Jim Schwartz should have been hired for that job already. He did a decent job. Well, not decent, but he was okay when he was in Detroit. Just didn't have a lot to work with because Matt Millen sucked as a GM, and they drafted 3 first-round receivers in a row, which was wild. But he was all right there, and his defenses have always been good. He's got this defense great. I think the Browns job still being open is ridiculous, but we don't even have to go into that.
We'll get into it at the end of the show. We're going to talk coaching carousel at the end of the show. So
I probably should have read the rundown.
No, that's okay. Jay, let's talk about the actual game itself. The Denver Broncos went up against the Buffalo Bills. Jay, did Josh Allen choke this game? Was this a choke game for Josh Allen? Is this one of these games that harms his legacy? I've seen people say he's like the Phillip Rivers of this era of quarterbacks and those kind of things. Like, what do you think that this was a choke game for Josh Allen?
I think he played a bad game. That doesn't mean I think it's like one of those legacy hurting games. And are we really going to say it hurt the best player on the planet's legacy right now? Like, is there even an argument that Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL? Like, I don't know. I can't think of a quarterback I'd rather start my team with right now than Josh Allen. So at the most important position, I think he did a lot of great shit with an underwhelming roster. So but I get people are crushing him and dragging him because it's the same old from the Bills. We also got to remember, if you're including Aaron Rodgers, there's only 4 starting NFL quarterbacks who have won a Super Bowl. That's it. People seem to forget that out of all the starting NFL quarterbacks in the league, and that's counting Rodgers, there's only 4 of them who have won a Super Bowl, right? Matt Stafford's still in it. Jalen Hurts and who the fuck am I forgetting? Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Like, we're talking about some of the greatest quarterbacks ever and Jalen Hurts.
I think yes. I think the idea of like
I don't hate Hurts. He's just not on that level.
He's not that same. He's not the same level.
Yeah.
I get it. With Josh Allen, I think saying that game is a choke is the wrong way to put it. It's something that we've been saying all season. If you ask the guy to be Superman again and again and again and again, there's going to be one time that he can't do it for you. And it showed in the types of turnovers that he had. So he had 4 turnovers. So the Bills turned the ball over 5 times. So complain about the fucking refs. You turned the ball over 5 times. Just by the way, 4 of those are Josh Allen. So there's that fumble where he's like running around with it, trying to do too much before the end of the half, and then it looks like he tries to lateral it somewhere. Like he's tried to lateral it, but I think that's what people are saying. But I think it just got knocked out of his hands.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but he's trying to do something. He's trying to create something at the end of the half, and it's like, well, you're kind of putting him in that situation because no one else is doing anything. His 2 interceptions are down the field throws, one of them is like, does he get caught? He gets caught for that interception. That's a refereeing call interception, so that's not really fair. And then the other interception that he throws is down the field, down deep, trying to do too much again. And then the other fumble is again scrambling around in the pocket and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, if you're asking the guy to be Superman again and again and again, something's going to happen. Like, he's going to have these bad games. And we called it all season. We were saying, you can't keep asking Josh Allen to do this. Like, it's not like he's put away his turnover stuff, but you keep on asking him to play this ball. It's eventually not going to go right. And that's what happened with Josh Allen for me. I thought it was a case of a guy trying to put an entire team on his back against a great defense as well. So I think a choke is possibly unfair. That being said, he didn't play particularly well, but like, I think a choke is harsh. Jay, how impressive was the Broncos' ability to win this game with the Bills actually stifling the run game? I've been saying that the Bills have been terrible against the run all year, which they have, but they held the Broncos to 70 yards in this game as well. So how impressive was it that the Broncos managed to come out with a win in this game despite their run game just being completely halted?
On a scale of 1 to 10, it's 0 impressive.
Okay, go on. Elaborate on that one.
Well, you already mentioned all the turnovers in this game, and I actually wrote down here, is Denver overhyped? ? Is their defense really that good? ? Because it's not. The Bills just proved it's not as good as everybody thinks it is. The Bills just proved that you can move the ball. Cook was fucking running on this defense at times. I don't think the defense is as good as people think. I think they actually proved it in this game, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but with what's going on with Bo Nix, if the Patriots don't make the Super Bowl, they should just quit the NFL.
Yeah, I think with the Broncos defense, I think elements of the Broncos defense are overhyped. So I think this idea that they have this crazy defensive line, their defensive line isn't as good as the Browns, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Rams. Probably their defensive line is a bit better. Like, Nick Bonito is good, but they could probably do with some star power on the other side. Their DBs are good. Their DBs are pretty locked down. Although Zach Moss gives away a lot of penalties for the Denver Broncos secondary as well. So I think and Hufunga's been great for them since he came in as well. So I think I agree. I don't think it's holistically like the best defense that they could put together. That is put together currently in the NFL. However, they did get 5 turnovers on the Josh Allen team, so they have to be given some credit. Although I do think at least like the 2 fumbles from Josh Allen and actually his interception, both of his interceptions were like, one of the interceptions was just completely underthrown ball and the other one was questionable whether it was an interception or not. That hit on James Cook to make the fumble is a pretty great hit and a great tackle. But I agree. I don't think they're as incredibly amazing on the defensive side of the ball. I also don't think they were amazing.
They're still really good.
Yeah, they're still very, very good.
I just want to say the defense is still really good, but I think it was overhyped from what it was being talked about.
They're not the Texans. They're not the Browns. They're not the Seahawks. Like in this one, but in this game, I did think it was quite impressive. Like I think Bo Nix was like stepped up in the big moments, like we've seen Bo Nix do throughout the season. Like it's not incredible across the whole game, but in the big moments, Bo Nix steps up. And Jay, what do you make of that? Like this is, as we said, we'll talk about it more when we preview the next game about what this means for the Denver Broncos. But Bo Nix is out with an ankle injury. That's the end of his sophomore season. What do we make of Bo Nix's sophomore season? What do we make of Bo Nix, the quarterback?
B+.
Yeah. And I think that's fine, right? Like people talk about him like he's terrible. Sophomore quarterback, I would say definitely B to B+, right?
Yeah, he did really well. He did what you asked of him. I think we saw that moving forward, we're probably going to see better out of him, but we still don't know if he's going to be great. We just know he's going to be good. But we already know that, and he's proved that to us in 2 years. So I think he's a solid B+ this season.
Yeah, I think the people who are like kind of picking on Bo Nix and saying Bo Nix isn't a great quarterback, I think that if they come out and choose anybody but the Broncos to win, if they come out and they choose the Patriots to win that game, after slagging off Bo Nix so much, then I think they've been lying about how they feel about Bo Nix just to start with. Because if him being out forces you to pick a different team, then clearly you think he's a bit better than that, and you're just saying this to say stuff. But I think as well, like Bo Nix looks incredibly unathletic, and I think what's going to happen with Bo Nix is he's going to be one of those guys like Kirk Cousins who has a great win record, great yardage stats every year, and nobody rates him because he doesn't look the part of like an amazing athlete, like an amazing athletic quarterback. That's why I see Bo Nix like Brock Purdy level. Like he'll be good production all the time. He wins football games and no one will give him credit for it. That's why I can see with Bo Nix's future coming up. And I think he's been great this season.
Like Turbo. And I don't know if you guys get those commercials, those Lowe's commercials, but Dak Prescott on one of the commercials, they say something about Turbo, and he goes, "That's what they used to call me in college." And McCaffrey looks at him and goes, "No, they didn't." So, like, I'm going to start calling him Turbo from but no, I think Dak's more athletic than Bo Nix, but I think that's the kind of like tier he's in right now. But I think we're jumping the gun if we say that's all Bo Nix will ever be. Maybe Bo Nix is a 15 to 7 to 15 quarterback his whole career, maybe. But he's shown to me that there might be a chance that he's like Drew Brees-ish type quarterback, right? Not the most athletic, whatever, but can still make plays, move around, pick up a few first downs with your legs. Like, I don't think it's abnormal to think that he could be a really, really good quarterback. But I think he's proved, like I said, I think he's proved that he's good. And now I'm just waiting to see how good to great he is going to end up being. You know what I mean? But I think to give him some kind of weird ceiling right now, and I'm not saying you're doing it, but other people seem to give him this weird ceiling. And I'm like, we're talking about a guy who doesn't even completely understand NFL defenses yet.
Yeah, and I think with Bo Nix as well, I think a lot of the rhetoric around him is forced by like these, these Instagram reel, YouTube shorts guys, like, like we might do one day. But the guys who like, it's whenever they say who are the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, Drew Brees never comes up because short white guy. Like that's what it feels like to me. Like whenever you watch these guys like list their top 10 NFL seasons, it's always like Cam Newton in 2015, and it's like, how has Drew Brees not been mentioned once and Cam Newton is on here? Or it's like, obviously I've got to give it to Brady, not the most athletic, and it's like, it doesn't need to be. And that's where I think like Bo Nix is suffering from, and I think JJ McCarthy has the same thing as well.
I agree with you on the fact that you know how high of regard I put Aaron Rodgers in the quarterback greats, right? To me, he's on Mount Rushmore. He's one of the 4 greatest to ever play the game. And him and Drew Brees have pretty much the exact same stats, 1 Super Bowl win, X amount of NFC championships. Like, I'm like, he got more MVPs, Rodgers does, but like Drew Brees got stats for days. First ballot Hall of Famer, and we're not going to talk about his greatness. I think you're right. It's crazy that he doesn't get brought up in those conversations. And whoever keeps bringing Cam Newton up as in greats, I don't know. Put it in the comments. Do you think Cam Newton is a Hall of Famer? That's all. And I'm not even going to – I just want to know what the comments think. Do you think Cam Newton is a Hall of Famer?
I think it's always these guys who say, oh, yeah, well, Cam Newton in his peak in that 2015 MVP season, it's like – didn't drop on the ball in the Super Bowl and cost his team the Super Bowl win. That's what I see when I think about Cam Newton. That's what I think of 2015 Cam Newton.
I think Cam Newton was a really fun, good quarterback. I just don't think he was one of the greats.
Yeah, but that's why I see Bo Nix suffering with like that idea that, Drew Brees doesn't get mentioned as one of the greats when he has, is it the second most passing yards of all time in NFL history and all of those kind of things. Like he doesn't get mentioned in those great conversations. And I can see like whatever level Bo Nix reaches from here, he's going to suffer with that same thing that Kirk Cousins suffers with, Dak Prescott suffers with. Like Dak Prescott has seasons where he's top 5 QBs in the NFL.
Oh, definitely.
Like he has those seasons as well, but no one gives him his flowers and all of that kind of stuff. I think like he's going to be dealing with that for his entire career now. Jay, another quarterback who's going to be dealing with that, but maybe rightly so, is Brock Purdy. And Jay, the Seattle Seahawks went up against the San Francisco 49ers, and the San Francisco 49ers were completely dominated by this Seahawks. Jay, after watching that dominant performance, are the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl favorites?
Do you want me to give my pick away already? No, they're not. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, right. You're picking the Rams. That's fine. That question comes from, I was watching First Things First, and they were talking about, is the NFC Championship game the true Super Bowl? Like, is it the true Super Bowl? And it's like, no, because the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl and those kind of things. Yeah, I think that Seattle Seahawks performance was excellent. I thought they came out and showed that they were one of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL. The defensive side of the ball was great. The offense kind of just didn't have to do much. Like there wasn't really anything for the offense to do because they just the 49ers completely fell apart. But whether they're the favorites,
they can't play from behind.
Yeah, I think they're possibly my favorite, but they can't play from behind. No.
The 49ers can't play from behind. They can't do it. Like, they're not equipped. Like, when you're relying on Christian McCaffrey to win you a game, you can't rely on your running back to bring you back from 14 down. Like, you know what I mean? You're not equipped. So as soon as they got down by double digits, I was like, oh, this is about to snowball because this isn't the type of team that can come back. Like, Seattle would have been a better team to try to come back than the 49ers. You know what I mean? Seattle set up more to make a comeback play in like the second half of a game than the 49ers are. I think Seattle's really good. I just don't think they're going to win this weekend. Would I be shocked if they win this weekend? Absolutely not. But for Nick Wright to say that it's the NFC, well, I guess I'm assuming it's Nick Wright because his first thing's
it wasn't.
First,
it was the other guy, Danny something.
Okay.
Like,
Canal.
Yes.
Is it Danny Canal? Is that who's on? I don't even know who's on First Things First because I don't watch anything on Fox Sports or ESPN. But I liked Danny Canales when he was with Ryan Russillo on ESPN when they had a radio show. I really liked him. But I don't think it is, because I really think the Patriots have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl. I think if Bo Nix didn't get injured, Denver had a real shot at winning the Super Bowl. So I think it's really wild for people to say that this is the Super Bowl. Like, I think any of these, well, minus Bo Nix injury now, because I don't think they can win without Bo Nix, but I think 3 of these 4 teams can win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think we're in one of the most wide open playoffs of all time still. Like, this has felt like one of the most wide open playoffs of all time. Anybody's been able to win for like long periods since the start of these playoffs. Maybe apart from like apart from the Panthers, really, and they still played the Rams really close as well. So it's felt really open this playoff. So yeah, I agree. But with the 49ers not being able to come from behind, I agree. The 49ers just can't play from behind. And we speak about Kyle Shanahan being an amazing coach a lot, and very rightly so. But Jay, he's 1-39 when trailing by 7 points or more in the fourth quarter. Now, most teams, when you're trailing by 7 points or more going into the fourth quarter, don't have like winning records, but being 1-39 is the worst out of all coaches in terms of percentage when trailing by more than 7 in the NFL. Like that, he has the worst record in those fourth quarters, and it's because his teams aren't set up to do that. They're set up to run the ball, don't go deep, and you just can't do what he wants them to do once he's one of the best coaches on script. But it looks to me like he isn't changing in game as much as he could be. As much as he could be, he's still one of the greatest coaches in the NFL. But there's certain weaknesses there that keep on coming up with the San Francisco 49ers under Kyle Shanahan, in the fact that they can't play from behind.
I would ask you, what quarterback has he ever had that you trust to come back down in the fourth quarter? And exactly. That is part of them not getting the right quarterback. So, yes, they have to be blamed for that. But I think that's the problem, is they've never had that quarterback that they can rely on to be like, go get us a game. And people can talk shit about Dak, can talk shit about Kirk, they can talk shit about some of these quarterbacks. But how many times have we watched Dak do it? How many times have we watched Kirk do it? How many times have we watched quarterbacks who aren't top 5 quarterbacks do it? And we don't see that with Brock Purdy. We didn't see that with Jimmy Garoppolo. We didn't see that with these quarterbacks. Trey Lance was a complete miss, right? Mac Jones, even though I think he's, for the money, might be better suited than Brock Purdy there. You're not going to see him do it either. So if you go with Mac Jones, you're still in the same position that they're not built to win from behind. And it makes it really difficult in the playoffs, which makes them a really spectacular regular season team. But in the biggest games, it gets away from them because you're playing the best teams and then they get a lead and you don't have an answer.
Yeah, and it was one of those games where it felt like it kind of snowballed early. The Seahawks got on top of them early as well. There was three turnovers in that game, two fumbles lost, and then 1 interception from Brock Purdy. So things really got out of hand in this game quite quickly. And Jay, to be honest, the San Francisco 49ers shouldn't really have been here. Like the amount of injuries that they've had this season, the amount of big players that they've lost throughout the season, they've overcome so much to get to this point. And like everybody deserves to be there once they're there. That's not what I'm saying. I don't mean that they didn't deserve to be there. It's just they've done such a good, like Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh have done such a good coaching job with a team that is on like its bare bones because of the amount of injuries, that it felt like they just, once it snowballed out of control there, it was just, okay, yeah, this is happening, and this is just what is going to happen, because the Seahawks are just a better team due to lack of injuries and due to being able to play from behind as well.
Is it time for them to accept the fact that they might have to step back for a season to get younger? Also, What do you think about these rumors that they're trying to get Jordan Addison right now?
Yeah, what I was just going to say was, what do the 49ers need to do going into next season, especially with losing Robert Saleh now as well. So Robert Saleh's gone, so they need to like Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh seem to do a great job coaching together, so they're losing that too. I think it is. I don't necessarily think they need to take a step back to get younger and better. Like, their older players now have just aged out. Like, they are just aged out. Just get rid. I don't think it's even necessarily a step back because they're spending so little time. But they proved
this year. You just said, though, because they're so lacking with all these injuries, because it is their older guys, that they can't overcome when they can only go as far as the coaching. So wouldn't it be time to, like, just take that step back for 1 year, reload? That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you still probably make the playoffs, but I think if you really are trying to get to the Super Bowl, it's not going to be next year unless maybe you just sell out. I will say quickly, if you want to give up Pearsall, Mac Jones, and a first-round pick, maybe we talk to you about Addison.
I think with the 49ers, right, I think it's integral that they get younger. Like, they have to get younger on the team. It's just that has to happen. They've like, a lot of these players are completely aged out. What I said at the start of the season was they will get injuries. I just didn't expect them to still do so well, even after getting all of those injuries as well. But
I should have clipped that and just played it every time we talked about him. But I'm not like that. It's not in me, but I should have.
The 49ers would only get 4 wins. But what I said would happen.
I think you said 5, to be fair.
Huh? I said 5. I
think you said 5, to be fair.
What I said would happen, and the reason why I said that did actually happen. It's just that the coaching was absolutely fucking incredible, and I forgot that Christian McCaffrey is genuinely amazing when Christian McCaffrey can play every single game. You have a chance to get into the playoffs no matter what. So with the 49ers, then I think Ayuk has played his last game as a 49er. That's been said. So, the Vikings get in on Ayuk as well. So you give away Jordan Addison, you get Ayuk in return with some draft capital.
I want Pearsall because Ayuk is expensive.
Yeah, I guess Ayuk is a bit expensive, but how cheap will Pearsall be? I mean, Pearsall has also been out injured like all season as well. From
he's
basically since I traded from him in fantasy. Since I traded from him in fantasy.
He's on his rookie contract, and the Vikings also have Ty Felton, so I feel like you're bringing in a third more than a second. So,
yeah, okay. But yeah, I feel like it's integral that the 49ers need to draft a left tackle to sit behind Trent Williams for 1 year, so they can move off Trent Williams next year, and he'll get plenty of game time because Trent Williams won't play all of the games as well. George Kittle can't play all of the games either, but they seem to have found a good replacement in Josh Tungus there. Their wide receiver got completely decimated. Maybe a star at wide receiver is important, but the most important thing that they need to focus on is that defensive line, because they can't get any pressure. They didn't get any pressure to Sam Darnold all game, and they need to just go out and get star defensive linemen and just put them on that team. Like, don't worry about get rid of Bosa. He's barely played for you for forever. Just put him out and see what team will pick up. We'll pick up on Nick Bosa and just put in players on that defensive end who will actually get you some pressure, because they didn't get any whatsoever. The 49ers are an interesting team. I think they would be one of the most fun teams to GM next season because it's a rebuild, but as you said, that I still think they probably will make the playoffs even throughout their rebuild.
I agree.
Yeah.
We'll see who they get at defensive coordinator, because I think that's going to be really important.
Yeah, definitely. I think massively important. for them at defensive coordinator as well. Jay, with Brock Purdy didn't have a great game. Again, that's another kind of hindrance on the 49ers at the moment, I think, because they've given Brock Purdy so much. Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. He's on great money. And that's going to make them struggle in this rebuild. But I don't really see how they get out of it, because I don't see any other NFL teams picking up that contract either.
I think they would. I think teams are dumb enough and desperate enough at quarterback. Somebody would trade for that contract if they tried to get rid of it. I don't think it'd be a good move, but I do think there's somebody who would.
I feel like I always put the Colts in that talk. I'm like, the Colts have quite a cheap roster, so they could maybe put 50 mil there. But yeah, it seems like a lot.
I don't think you give up much, though, if you're taking on that contract.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I don't see the 49ers doing it because, he's Shanahan's guy. Like, it's clearly Shanahan's guy. So that's like, he'll be there. He'll be there next season, but I think that's going to be a problem for them going forward. Jay, moving on to another team with possibly having a quarterback problem. The Houston Texans got beat by the New England Patriots. And Jay, do the Houston Texans have a CJ Stroud problem? Are we at the point now where we can blame it on the offensive line, we can blame it on the offensive coordinator, but there's got to be a point where the blame falls on the quarterback as well?
Yeah, he's never lived up to his rookie season. Never. And it seems to have been going the wrong way. We haven't seen the development we expected to see. We haven't seen the growth we expected to see. I think they do. I don't know if it's a problem yet, but they do have an issue with what's going on with CJ, and they need to figure that out, because when your rookie season's your best season and you're now in year 3, 4, whatever, it's an issue. And you got to make sure that you got the right guy before you pay him again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with CJ Stroud, what I wouldn't have a problem with CJ Stroud in this Texans team currently is like not necessarily getting loads of yardage, not being able to make the big plays, because he doesn't get given loads of time and he has to do a lot of scrambling behind the line and all of those kind of things. And I think the offensive coordinator, it's been come out and the Texans say they expected the offensive coordinator to stay. And I'm just thinking, why? Like, how can you expect the offensive coordinator to stay when you've had that bad an offensive season with possibly the best defense in the NFL on the other side of it? Clearly, it's not working with him and CJ Stroud. Surely there's other people that you've got to be looking at to go and be your offensive coordinator. Like, I think it's a job, the Texans offensive coordinator, that's kind of under the radar for someone like Cliff Kingsbury to come in and walk into. But the Texans seem to think yeah.
Do you want that job when he chased Bobby Slowick out of there because he wouldn't listen and Bobby was too tough of a coach for him? Like, I don't know. At what point do we say this is a CJ thing too? I don't disagree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate in this, that with everything that's going on. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator's fault, but I do know that we saw the best of him under a coach he didn't get along with.
Yeah, and I think the whole Bobby Slowick thing, and Bobby Slowick was a PFF guy as well. Like, he worked for PFF before. He's very like analytically driven. I think he was like kind of a similar vibe to like Mike Macdonald. I don't think he didn't work very well with DeMeco Ryan either. Like, so the head coach didn't like Bobby Slowick either, and CJ Stroud didn't like him. But the Texans offense was clearly much better when he was there. So I'm not being funny. There's a lot of times where coaching in the NFL and players in the NFL let their personal shit get in the way of their professional stuff. Like, we've worked with people who we don't like, but we understand they're good at their job. And therefore, you just get on with your job, right? Whereas in the NFL, that doesn't seem to happen.
You played soccer and rugby, right?
Yeah.
Did you like everybody you played with? Because I played sports and I didn't like everybody I played with. You just stayed respectful to one another. You had a common goal and you just didn't fuck with each other outside of the locker room or sports. But that doesn't mean you can't work for the same thing if you don't like somebody. We watched one of the greatest teams in NFL history in the 85 Bears where Ditka and Ryan, I can't remember his first name off the top of my head, Rex Ryan's dad, they hated each other. They fist fought at halftime of a playoff game. Like this is but they still won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think and I think with stuff like that, it's like the Eagles clearly don't like each other, but have just won were the Super Bowl champions last year. They it's very clear that they don't like each other, but they were the Super Bowl champions. And we're getting to a point with certain places where it's more about everybody liking each other. It's the same with Sean McDermott. The Texans shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of Bobby Slowick. And I find it crazy that Bobby Slowick isn't in the running for some of these offensive coordinator jobs that are out there or these head coaching jobs.
He might be just that hard to work with.
Yeah,
I don't know. He might just be that hard to work with, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like there must be something to it. There must be a reason why Bobby Slowick isn't getting these jobs and stuff. Like the fact he doesn't have another job right away means there must be something. But the Texans were much better with him there. And I think if he went to the bloody the Washington Commanders job with Dan Quinn there, the fact that Cliff Kingsbury's leaving that job, if Bobby Slowick just rocked up and said, look how good CJ Stroud was when I coached him and look how bad he's been playing now, and he said I can do that with Jaden Daniels too, surely the Commanders just have to hire him on the spot. So I think the Texans having an offensive coordinator problem is a big deal, but CJ Stroud has been really poor. What was that comment? The Patriots.
It was Joshua letting us know about his Pats, which I agree. They're amazing. Like I said, I think they have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl. I think there's 3 teams left that have a shot at winning the Super Bowl. But if the Pats don't win this weekend, that's a whole nother conversation we're going to have.
Yeah, I think with the Patriots, we'll speak most about them in the next section of the show because we're looking ahead to their game against Denver. But what I do want to highlight, Jay, is actually, we were talking about the Denver Broncos defense being maybe slightly overrated, like in terms of it's a great defense. It's just not one of the best defenses in the NFL. Whereas
it's probably still top 5, but I got sick of hearing that it was the best defense ever. So I might have been a little over the top on crushing them, but I just got sick of hearing that narrative.
Well, Jay, is the Patriots defense one of the most underrated in the NFL as well?
Yeah, because it might be.
Because we can say stuff about CJ Stroud, like having a rough game. He threw 4 interceptions. But some of that is on the defense. And some of that, Jay, is on the fact that the Patriots' run defense is incredible. And I think a lot of people are being blinded, and Joshua's highlighting it here. I think a lot of people are being blinded by the fact that the Patriots have had the easiest schedule in the NFL. They've had the easiest schedule in the NFL.
You only play who they put in front of you.
Exactly. You play who they put in front of you. And actually, there's not huge differences across the NFL season in terms of how hard someone's schedule is. Like, it's not like
college football.
Yeah, and when they have Milton Williams in there, they're a totally different team. So the Texans' leading rusher, Woody Marks, 14 carries for 17 yards. That was their run game, with a total amount of rushing yards across the game of 48 yards for the Texans running the ball. Once the Patriots have Milton Williams in there, they're a completely different team, and their defense is being totally slept on.
Yeah, no, Williams is a fucking monster at the D tackle. Gonzalez is the best corner in the league. I don't care what anybody says. I have this argument in football groups all the time. Go watch the tape and tell me what your eyes tell you when you watch him play. He is the best corner in the NFL. They have Vrabel as their coach, who's always going to have them ready to play. When you look at the offensive side, if Drake May doesn't get the MVP, it's a robbery. I think they're going to rob this kid too. I think it is definitely. I think it's going to be Matt Stafford, but I think it's Drake May. And I also think if you look at what Josh McDaniels is doing with that team, this team is a legitimate team to win the Super Bowl. And I think they're playing very complementary football, which is very scary because they do have a really good defense, but they have a really efficient offense too.
Yeah, I think they kind of, so I've seen a few people saying like, is Drake May that good? He came up against a great Texans defense and didn't look amazing. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the Patriots against the Broncos. But I think I feel like the real answer is they kind of wrapped up Drake May. I actually think the Seattle Seahawks are the most, I think the Seattle Seahawks are the most balanced team. I think the Seattle Seahawks can go out and play the most different styles of football than the Patriots. But the Patriots' way that they're playing football wins them football games. And I think it's very complimentary, and I agree with you, Jay.
I agree with Joshua, and I think Maddie's just trying to be proven right about Sam Darnold, guys, but we'll just leave that for another discussion.
I'll take it. But Jay, we're going to talk more about the Patriots later in the show, so Josh, stay around for that. Jay, should the Houston Texans be happy with this season? They've made it to this stage. They've made it to this stage of the playoffs. Should they be happy with this season? How should the Texans feel going away from this season?
Okay, the players should never be happy, but the fans should be. The way this thing started and they made the playoffs, they won playoff game, they should definitely feel good about the way the season is once they get over the sting of getting knocked out of the playoffs. But I do think there's a lot of questions that they have going into the offseason. They need real self-evaluation.
Yeah, I think with the Texans, they've given themselves kind of weirdly more questions than answers throughout this entire season because DeMeco Ryans is clearly a great head coach. I mean, he just beat in pressure games. He's played 2 pressure games in a row, beat the 49ers twice in pressure
How
games.
was that last game a pressure game? They jumped out to the lead right away. There was 0 pressure.
Yeah, Sam Darnold just came out and won a game 41-6 against the 49ers. Like a playoff game, 41-6. Like him shitting
0 pressure.
Yeah, but him shitting the bed is throwing fucking 4 interceptions. It's still a pressure game. Like you still got to come out and win the game. I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean, but I feel like that's
I'm not even gonna argue it. I'm just gonna let you have it. So we're good. I'm gonna make faces and let it go.
With the Houston Texans, I feel like DeMeco Ryans is a great head coach. They're in the right spot at head coach. They've got that fine. But I think they need to reevaluate their entire offensive plan, their offensive coordinator. They need to learn what they've got at quarterback because you can't get rid of CJ Stroud because of his rookie season. And he's been to the playoffs all 3 years of his all 3 years. Or did they go to the playoffs last year? They kind of melted after Tank Dell. I can't remember if they made it to the playoffs last year, but they've been to the playoffs at least 2 out of his 3 seasons. And they've won playoff games as well. So you can't really get rid of CJ Stroud in that situation. But the offense is so behind the ball. The offense is so like behind where the defense is. You have to be able to get some offense going, and they haven't got an offensive line put together for multiple seasons in a row. CJ Stroud has struggled for 2 seasons in a row now. They need to find this out, and they're going to struggle with it as well. Jay, let's move on to the Chicago Bears versus the Los Angeles Rams. And Jay, this was a great game as well. Jay, despite some late heroics from Caleb Williams, is he still to blame for the Chicago Bears losing this game?
No, not at all. Caleb proved he's that guy.
Yeah, go for it. He had 3 interceptions in the game. I just put out, but some crazy late heroics.
Yeah. Okay, so he had the late interception that was crushing, but the team had to come back and bail them out. Did he make some mistakes? Absolutely. But he's a second-year quarterback in his first times in the playoffs with a new head coach. And I think the things we see from Caleb 100% prove Caleb is going to be one of those guys in the NFL. Like, he's that guy. And I don't think anybody saw them even making it this far at the beginning of the season, right? Like, I think this is a complete win for the Bears all the way around, and it doesn't feel like it because you wanted a Super Bowl. I get that. But I think Caleb proved he's that guy. I think Rome Odunze proved why they drafted him finally. I think in the last few games we've seen Rome, and that one-handed catch was out of this world spectacular. I think the Bears have just gotten better and better as the season goes on. And as a Vikings fan, I fucking hate it, but I have to give them their flowers. Like, I think they had an absolutely amazing season from what we expected, what the most of the world expected, and I think we got all these questions answered about Caleb Williams. I get he made mistakes. I'm not saying he was perfect, but like, I think Caleb is that guy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jay. I don't think that Caleb was the reason they lost the game, because he was also the reason that they still managed to be in the game as well. I think that I was just thinking as Jay was talking there, Josh, that this 2024 draft class could legitimately be one of the best quarterback draft classes of all time. Like, it's really starting to get up there with Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and JJ McCarthy. Possibly see what happens with JJ McCarthy. I'm going to leave Michael Penix out of it for now. But that's still a great, like, even if JJ McCarthy doesn't do it, that 4 is still pretty crazy. That 4 have all got a playoff win already. Like the 2024 draft class, the top 4 quarterbacks in there have all already got a playoff win. That's mad, like, to be at that point. 2 of them have appeared in the conference final game already, with Jaden Daniels in the NFC Championship and Drake May about to go into the AFC Championship as well. Like, it's going to be one of the greatest draft classes of all time. And Caleb Williams, I think Caleb Williams didn't have a great game at the stuff he's kind of put away throughout this season. The things where he's improved the most throughout this season kind of crept back in a little bit, where he missed some really easy layups in the game, and he just needs to really get away from those layups as well. He needs to be able to make them. He can't make those mistakes in the layups. Yeah, exactly. So So he needs to stop making the mistakes on the layups. He needs to get his completion percentage up, but that's the easiest thing for him to correct. And him and Ben Johnson being together will continue to get better and better and better in that as well. And Caleb Williams, I thought, was amazing in that game. I remember sitting and watching it with my dad, and I think we came across like a really British and American difference. That final play of the game where he launches it up to Colston Loveland, and all the commentators, Chris Collinsworth is waxing about how great Caleb Williams is. And then my dad starts saying, why is Colston Loveland alone in the end zone? And Caleb Williams has just launched that in the air on a hope, and it's just dropped to him. And I think, like, we watched the replays and eventually went, oh shit, Caleb is actually, whilst retreating so far back, has actually picked up that Colston Loveland has the best matchup and got it there and put it in a place where only he can get it as well. And it is a bit of a hope on a prayer, but it's the best play that he could have made in that situation.
It was Komet in the end zone.
Komet.
Yeah, no, but I'm thinking of the play, and I'm like, oh, I know what play you're talking about now. So in case anybody, we can't be perfect, but
with
but the fact that Caleb made that, like, extended that play for long enough for that to happen, I think that's where we're seeing it. But no, that is a legitimate question too. How are you going to leave the fucking tight end wide open in the corner of the end zone?
Yeah, he got, like, it's where the ball ended up, and he got like a little bump on the DB. Watched it over and over again to see if it was just like this American enthusiasm or whether we were just being too cynical or whatever. And I think it was just, as always, Jay, it's a mixture of both. But with Caleb Williams, I think what we see with Caleb Williams is that he gives Ben Johnson's offense something that it doesn't get with Jared Goff. Now, if Ben Johnson could transport Jared Goff's completing the easy layups and reading defenses into Caleb Williams, he fucking would straight away. But Caleb Williams gives Ben Johnson that extra, when the play breaks down, he can go and make a big play that he didn't get with Jared Goff.
And Caleb's just going to get better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Caleb's just going to keep growing and making better decisions. And I think for Chicago, and as much as I hate it, this was a fucking win. And Ben Johnson, we knew he was a great coordinator, starting to look like he's a great head coach. You got to prove it for more than a year, but definitely looks like it. And Caleb Williams, struggles he had last year shows it was a lot to do with coaching, and people don't always understand how much coaching is important, especially in the NFL.
Yeah, I think with coaching as a teacher, I think when I look at coaching, especially quarterbacks in the NFL, where you just throw them in there and they kind of just have to expect to be amazing with no development, and then when it doesn't go right, the coach just says he doesn't study, like there's no studying, there's none of this. Like it gets leaked out that the quarterback doesn't do any studying of tape or anything. And it's like, have you put the tape in a digestible way for him to actually be able to watch and take away what he needs to take away from it? Because that's actually a new skill for this new quarterback. Like, is the coach there teaching him how he wants him to go through the tape and making it really digestible and everything? It's really easy to kind of throw it on young quarterbacks all of the time to say you're doing shit, when actually it could be the teaching that is also the problem. And let's be honest, in USC, he wasn't watching much film there, because any play that they drew up just got completely blown up immediately because of a terrible offensive line, and he just had to go off and make plays scrambling behind the offensive line anyway. Jay, looking at the Rams on this one, Caleb Williams throws 3 interceptions. Oh, one of those interceptions, by the way, DJ Moore gives up on the fucking play. Like DJ Moore is like jogging across the field, and Caleb assumes where he's going to be if he's running at full tilt, and he just puts it into the hands. But Jay, why weren't the Rams able to take control of this game and put the Chicago Bears away? Because have we been seeing the best of Rams football? Like, yeah, the Rams are, their roster, one of the best in the NFL. Sean McDermott, one of the best coaches in the NFL. But why couldn't they put that game away when they get 3 turnovers in the game? Caleb was struggling to make layups in the game as well. What happened there? Why couldn't they put this game away?
I think on both sides, it was huge plays, right? Like huge plays kept this game close and drove the score to where it was. I think for the most part, both defenses played pretty decent, but it was these huge plays that were given up. And there was times these receivers were making spectacular catches too. Like both teams showed up to play. And I think both defenses actually, if you go back and watch it and you minus the big yardage plays, they both played really solid defense. But you had some dudes out there that were balling, right? And sometimes, I mean, like, you're never going to you can, but you're not going to shut down guys like Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and this team with Matt Stafford completely all the time. And we're seeing the best of the Bears now, too, like I just said about Roma Dunze's one-handed catch. Yeah. The stuff we've seen from Loveland in the playoffs, Caleb. There's going to be big plays, but if you take those big plays out, they played relatively well, the defenses. I think huge plays are what kept both teams in this game.
Yeah, I think they matched up together quite nicely. I feel like the matchup was like it was a pretty good and interesting matchup to watch. So the Rams need to put teams away when they have that opportunity. I think Stafford, I don't think he had the most amazing game ever, like with the way that he was playing either. Like people saying about Caleb on one side of the ball, but I don't think Stafford was incredible either. So they need to be able to put that team away when they get 3 turnovers. But the Bears were just being the Bears. They kind of did put the Bears away, and then Caleb Williams makes a ridiculous play to tie it to go into overtime and stuff like that as well. So I don't think they should be too worried. All right, and that is our reactions to divisional round football. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about our predictions for the NFC and AFC Championship games. So stick around for that while me and Jay take a break for a coffee.
Me and Jay set up the Yankee and the Brit nearly 5 years ago. And in that time, we've gone up to about 7 shows a week. And with the help of our loyal community, we've been able to keep growing. But we want to grow even more. And that's why just giving $5 or £5 could really help us out in our Buy Me a Coffee fun. And all you have to do is hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in our YouTube descriptions. That'll be on every single video. You can give £5, $5. You can give it once, you can give it every month. And what that does is it allows us to grow and even buy ourselves a coffee every once in a while.
All right, guys. So if you would like to support us, then the description, the link is in the description below. So do, if you're feeling generous, feel free to give us a description, or you can hit the QR code that's just gone up at the top of the screen. We thank everybody who's supporting us. We've just gone past our 900 subscribers as well, and the best way to help us out is by hitting that subscribe button.
So I got a question, Maddie. You're not drinking coffee. What are you drinking? It looks like Gatorade, but I'm betting you Brits don't drink Gatorade like we do in the U.S. What are you drinking?
This is called squash, Jay. So it's like, you know, that like concentrated juice that you then dilute with water.
Okay, what kind of juice?
Cordial. It's like cordial. This is orange cordial. So you put a bit of cordial in, and then you dilute it with water, and you get something like semi close to juice. I can't drink water. So, I need some flavored water.
So I drink Mio, which is water enhancement. I drink the iced tea one. So you're talking like that, where I put 3 shots of squirts of that, and then I shake it up, and now I got iced tea instead of water, but there's no calories, no sugar, none of that shit.
Yeah, same deal. Okay. Although with this, like this has sugar in it, but it's,
okay.
Yes, same crack, where it's like you turn the water into something that actually tastes decent. So that's what I'm drinking currently.
Fair enough. Well, that's what I drink all the time. Mine's called Mio, and I drink the iced tea flavor because I'm a weirdo and I don't vary off on shit. I find something I like and I just stick with it.
I have 4 drinks around me currently. I had a coffee that we started with. So I was drinking a nice coffee at the start. I've got green tea in this one for when my throat feels a bit sore. And then I always sit with 2 pints of water at the side because...
Yeah, I got 3.
There you go. See, we're ready to go. Mio sponsor incoming. Josh, if you know someone at Mio, then you go let them know. We would love a Mio sponsor. Or just any sponsor.
Yeah, Mr. Kraft, as well as we talk about the Patriots, Mr. Kraft. Can we get it?
All right. Moving on.
We don't even bring up the massage parlor, okay?
We're nice about it. We're nice about it. Moving on to the AFC Championship game preview, Jay. The Denver Broncos are going up against the New England Patriots. The Patriots are 4.5-point favorites. Jay, Jared Stidham is stepping in for this game because Bo Nix is down injured with a broken ankle. Can Jared Stidham do enough to overcome the Patriots defense? Are we expecting really anything out of Stiddy?
I'm not mad at him. I don't give a shit that he did, to be honest with you. I don't care at all. As long as everybody in that room was a consenting adult, I'm cool with it. I don't care what he did.
That makes it sound like...
So Jared Stidham, can he...
Sorry.
What were you going to say, Maddie?
That makes it sound like I asked the question and then that came up. And then that's what the next thing... If somebody listened to that on like... You know, we used to like upload them to Spotify and something. Then the people who go like, I didn't know that Jared Stidham like did any of that. You know?
Oh yeah, no, not Jared Stidham. Okay, I gotcha. With Jared Stidham, can he do enough? Right? Can he do enough to win? Sure, it's the NFL any given Sunday. Do I expect him to be good enough to win? No. I think the Patriots should go out and take this game. I think the Patriots have no excuses not to win this game. And I said this before, and people don't want to believe me. It is not Bo Nix's fault he got hurt. It was Sean Payton's fault he got hurt. Skull curse, baby. Skull curse.
You did call it. You did call it. And you know those Viking gods like Loki. You know they play with you. Like it's not like the Christian god where it is. If he's fucking with you, he's just straight up just zapping you. It's like the Norse gods, they play around with you. So Loki, in his playful, mysterious way, has decided to give Sean Payton the playoff win and then take it away from him, give him the most painful outcome to then take it away from him in the AFC Championship game. So that's Viking god shit over there as well. Like that Norse god feeling tough. But Jay, I agree with you on Jared Stidham. There was a point where, Jared Stidham, like people were saying, oh, we like what we've got in Stiddy. Like when he was in Vegas, it was, we actually like what we've got in Jared Stidham. And then he played some football and we saw he quickly got pulled from them as well. He has about a 60% completion rate in the games that he plays. I think he's not even a high completion percentage quarterback either. So that's I think a problem coming up there. And with what we've been saying about the Patriots defense, I think that is going to make them really struggle. And they're going to have to go to the run game, the Broncos. Will they be able to get much of a run game out of this Patriots defense, the Denver Broncos?
I mean, J.K. Dobbins is supposed to be back. That can't hurt. But, I mean, we've seen the change in that run defense when Milton Williams and why do I forget the other D tackle's name every time we do this? But when both of them came back, right, we saw life change in that run game and the pressure up the middle on the pass game. And we saw why Milton Williams was worth the contract that people were questioning. So I think that it makes it really hard to get that run game going. Also, the Patriots defense is really gap sound. So you're not, because Vrabel's going to make sure your gap sound. That was what he predicated his whole career on. But so you're not going to get a lot of like cutbacks to the outside where you catch the defensive player in the wrong lane. You're not going to find holes in the middle where guys aren't filling gaps. I think it's going to be a long day. And I think with Bo Nix being gone, it really hurts them because now they can stack the box. Where if Bo Nix was there, not only could Bo Nix move around and make things happen, but Bo Nix could also hit quick, short passes, get the receivers in open space, and they don't have to worry about that now with Stidham unless he comes out and he is a completely different quarterback than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I think with Stidham, they're going to need that run game.
Damn, you got called a red coat pansy, bro.
I know. What's that?
There is a laugh and a heart afterwards, so there is some love there.
What's the
and you get talked shit to by somebody called 1 ton tomato, it's on point, bro. I mean,
I'm just impressed that you can, like, you don't realize that just having you in a text it's just not that much effort to put the YO, like I'd like put the YO instead of the U. I don't really get that either, but yes,
because we're lazy. What the fuck are you talking about? What? I haven't typed out going to in years. I put gonna. I put wanna. Like we're lazy. Like we ain't trying to type out the whole word. What the fuck are you talking about?
Instead of the YOU. But with the Denver Broncos, Jay, they need to eke out that run game a bit more. I'm surprised that Sean Payton doesn't have a bit more creativity in his run game. When you thought of him at the Saints with guys like Taysom Hill, there was always a bit of creativity in that run game with Alvin Kamara as well. And we just haven't seen that this season at all. They only got 70 rushing yards up against the Buffalo Bills with Bo Nix being their lead rusher as well. And this Patriots defense strangles you in the run game. So I think I think that's a key part for the Denver Broncos. They need to find a way to run the ball, and they're not really going to be able to do it up the center. So they need to get a bit creative with it as well. On the other side of the ball, Jay, how important is the matchup between those Broncos defensive backs that we spoke about at the start of the show and the New England Patriots wide receiver group? The New England Patriots wide receiver group is the wide receiver group is interesting, with Stephon Diggs really stepping up. Barefoot King Mac Hollins is doing a lot as well. How important is that? How important is that matchup there for this game?
Well, then you're gonna like him. 1 ton tomato. You're gonna like Matty when you hear him blow Sam Darnold. Anyway, okay. So, wait, what was the question? I got too busy into picking on you. What was the question again? Sorry.
Got a lot of love in the comments all of a sudden. Thank you so much for commenting, guys. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate when you come and chat to us. It's one of our favorite parts about doing the show, when the comment section starts going off.
I agree with that, Joshua.
What we were talking about, Jay, was the defensive backs of the Denver Broncos going up against the New England Patriots wide receivers. How important is that matchup? Who do you think is going to come out on top?
No, Denver's got a six secondary. Like, they can play with anyone. But what the Patriots have that is that neutralizer is, Stephon Diggs and their receivers are playing really good, but they're really good at tight end. They have really good tight ends, right? Like, you got Hunter and I'm blanking who's on the other side. So Joshua or somebody can let me know. But they got two tight ends that can play. They got wide receivers. Stephon Diggs has been playing better than I thought he would, and seems to have been a really good teammate there. So it seems like things are going really well with Stephon Diggs there. But their tight ends are what are going to be the neutralizer for that secondary of Denver because, yes, Austin Hooper, that's who it is. Thank you.
Jack West.
With Hunter and Hooper each side, like, they got really solid tight ends who are veterans who know how to find openings. They know how to sit down. And the way Drake May is reading defenses for a second-year guy is fucking insane.
Yeah, and I think with the Broncos, they do a lot of coverage disguise, especially with Pat Surtain. You can move Pat Surtain around. He kind of stays in one place a lot of the time, but I feel like they'll move him onto Stephon Diggs. I think Hufanga is going to be key at safety in this game. He had a great game against the Bills. I thought he was a real standout, even with that ripped interception turnover that, he catches it on his back. That was Hufanga who makes that play. And it is a great defensive play, even if it's a catch or not, like making the most out of like the situation. But Hufanga stepping up with the tight ends as well, I think will be a really big deal in this game too. So that is definitely. I thought Hollins might play, but that would be.
He did return to practice.
I like him a lot.
They're just.
Yeah, I like Hollins a lot, but with the Broncos DBs, I feel like that is a really important matchup there. And can Drake May continue to take advantage of his matchups there? And then Jay, we've already kind of spoken about this, but Drake May did not play particularly well last week, but he did. He played exactly what he needed to do last week because of the way the run game worked. It's just his stat sheet wasn't particularly great. Can the Denver Broncos put a lot of pressure on Drake May? Can they stop that run game and really make Drake May beat them and come out and play well again?
That's the question. Can you stop that two-headed monster that they have going on with New England and make Drake May beat you, which we've seen enough where Drake May is good enough, but he's also a young quarterback in the playoffs trying to make a run for the first time at a Super Bowl. Like, what kind of pressure does he feel? The best friend to that young quarterback is his tight ends and his running backs, right? But they have that two-headed monster. And Ramondre Stevenson keeps reminding people. Every time we start to forget about him, right? He keeps reminding people like, hey, I'm here. I can play. So that's the big question is, can you make the Pats one-dimensional, make Drake May beat you? Can you stop that running game altogether? But these running backs can catch out of the backfield. They can pick up the blitz. They're really solid. I'm not saying either running back is in the top 5 in the NFL, but they're both really solid players who are really good football players.
Trayvon Henderson's probably been the best rookie running back actually in the NFL. He just didn't have the start of the season because they were overplaying Ramondre Stevenson so much at the start as well. I think Drake May had a great game. I wouldn't say it was like elite. I think it was like complementary to how well everything else was going. He didn't need to have a great game, so they didn't make him have a great game. Like there was no need for him to overplay his hand. So he had a great game in not overplaying his hand is what we were kind of saying with Drake May. So you've got to force him to go out and beat you because you've got to put the pressure on the second-year guy. But he's shown that he can beat you as well. So with all of that said, Jay, the Broncos are starting Jarrett Stidham. It is at home in Denver, which they've turned into a fortress. The Patriots are 4.5-point favorites in this one. Who you got?
Bro, this went from 6 when I first looked, to 4.5, and I was still going to take it at 6. So give me the Patriots with the 4.5 because, like I said, I was going to take it at 6, -6.
Yeah, I've taken the Pats in this one as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos put together some crazy defensive performance, but it's with Jared Stidham on the other side, and the Patriots strangle you at defense. The most underrated defense in the NFL is the Patriots defense. So give me those guys. And then the skull curse comes out again. How does Sean Payton clear the skull curse for you, Jay? Does that ever get cleared, or is that a life curse now?
100 years like the Bambino. It's 100 years like the Babe Ruth curse to the Red Sox. 100 years, man. 100 years.
100 years it is.
That's what you get for being disrespectful in U.S. Bank Stadium. That's what you get for trying to taunt the Vikings fans. You got the skull curse, and it proved that it happened because right after he did it, the Minneapolis Miracle happened. Then the next year, the phantom play where the Rams player blows up the receiver and there's no call and the Rams go to the Super Bowl and win. And then something else happened, and then he got that year where he had to take off because of the collusion shit. Like, there's been stuff just every year since. So I'm just telling you, it's the skull curse.
Those Norse gods, they're tricky bastards. But the NFC Championship preview is on our horizon now, Jay, and we have the Seattle Seahawks, who are 2.5-point favorites against the Los Angeles Rams. Jay, do the Rams still have some pressure over Sam Darnold? In the 2 games that they've played so far this year, Sam Darnold has thrown 6 interceptions against this Los Angeles Rams team. Do they have a hold over him? They also made him look bad in other games when he was a Viking too.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. Like, we've talked about this a million times. There is just teams that seem to have certain teams' numbers, right?
Yeah.
And it just seems like Sam Darnold does not play good against the Rams. Like, to make fun of him a little, but I don't care that he said it. That's his ghost. That's the ghost he's seeing every night when he goes to bed, right? Is something about that Rams team that he does not perform well against. But I don't take any, like, that stuff, there's something to it. But when you're in an NFC Championship game, all that shit goes out the window, right? You're playing a division rival. You're playing a team. Both coaches know each other really well. They've played each other twice already this year. Like we've talked about, that you're not scared when you go in. Like, the nerves are different because you know the team so well. And even if you've lost to them before, you feel like, oh, we can beat this team. For me, this literally comes down to, I trust Matt Stafford and I trust Sean McVay more than I trust Sam Darnold and Macdonald. And Macdonald, that's only because I don't have as much history to bank on as I do with McVay, because he's done well. I don't want to act like he can't coach, because the dude can coach. But I got more faith in those two, and that was my decision on when I went through it, because I went through position by position, and I'm like, when I got to the end, I'm like, you could go either way with this game. I think the Seattle defense is out of this world, but I also think it's Matt Stafford, it's Puka Nacua, it's Devontae Adams, it's that running game. I think they'll figure it out. And both of these teams have really good offensive lines as of the last 6 weeks of the season, have both been playing out of this world. So we'll see. We'll see, but I'm taking the Rams. And plus you're giving me points. I'm taking the Rams, and plus you're giving me points.
Yeah, with the Seahawks and with that Sam Darnold question, I think he really might have dispelled some of that worry from getting that win, that overtime win that they got against them in the second meeting that they had, where he throws 2 interceptions early in that game and then gets his shit together and drives them down the field to tie the game, go into overtime, and then drives him down the field to go to tie the game and then score the 2-point conversion in overtime as well, in possibly the best game that we saw all season, that 38-37 overtime win that the Seahawks had over the Rams. I think maybe he dispels a little bit there, but to throw 6 interceptions in 2 games against one team that you're about to play again, like, it might be just a bit more than pressure and kind of shit in the bed with Sam Darnold there against a certain team. It might genuinely just be the scheme of the Rams confuses the shit out of Sam Darnold when he goes up against it. And it's something that we've seen with Sam Darnold, that certain schemes like make him see ghosts and all of that kind of stuff as well. Also, Jay, Sam Darnold going in with an oblique injury as well. What do we think? What do we think that oblique injury is doing to Sam Darnold as well?
Hey,
how's that going to affect him going into this game?
There was a fucking play that he threw that he missed by 20 fucking yards. Like, he underthrew by 20 fucking yards in that game. I think that was the oblique injury, because I've never seen Sam Darnold miss that bad. But I think they'll give him some vitamin T and move on, and he'll be fine for the game.
I think like 1 week removed, he's going to be much better. Like, he's going to be much better from that. Jay, you talked about Macdonald.
The 12th man is a real thing.
I think
the 12th man is a real thing.
It's one of the reasons that made me think with Denver, like, like that home advantage in the crowd in Denver. Seattle has that even more as well. The city picks and could be. But with the Seahawks, then with Macdonald back there, is he one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL? Because people have been talking about Liam Cohen in his first season as an NFL coach, and very rightly so. Liam Cohen's done a great job there as well. Vrabel at the Patriots, we're talking about him like in his head coaching in the NFL as well, back doing it his first year with the Patriots head coaching. Macdonald, I think, goes under the radar, and he's created a great defensive team. And Jay, Clint Kubiak is one of the highest touted names of offensive coordinators out there as well. Is this coaching staff really underrated for the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, they're not going to get that, because if you don't have a guy that's considered an offensive genius, nobody's talking about you unless you're Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh, who's been doing it for 20 years, right? So that's the thing. So, yeah, sure, he's underrated because he's never going to get the respect unless he wins a Super Bowl, because he's not considered an offensive genius.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, Jay, they have Sean McVay, who is the offensive genius. What is he going to dial up against this Seahawks defense? Because
we got fire in the comments.
I know. Keep it going, guys. Keep it going. With these defensive, with the Seattle Seahawks defense, it actually looks like it should match up really well with the Rams system. So that Rams 13 personnel that they've been running, that's taken the league kind of by storm. The Seahawks should match up really well about that, because they have DBs who can play big. But the last time they played, the Rams scored 37 points against the Seahawks and went for over 400 yards. So what's Sean McVay going to dial up here?
Well, that's because that 13 personnel turns into 22 personnel as soon as they swing the tight end out, because he's athletic enough to do it. Or they can go to 11 personnel off of that 13 personnel because of the Jimmies and Joes they have on that team that can match up with those X's and O's, right? We talk about the Jimmies and the Joes and the X's and the O's. Well, some reason the Rams figure out how to match their players up perfectly. I don't know why every team can't figure out how to match their players, Okay, anyway, I'll stop being a dick. They do a great job of being interchangeable.
Yeah, they can weirdly turn into 13 personnel by using Puka Nacua as a tight end as well. So, like, you end up using Puka Nacua as, like, a massive slot receiver, and then you have a fourth tight end on the field in 13 personnel. So you can do all of those kind of things as well, and it's crazy. So, Jay, so Sean McVay, they do a great job of being interchangeable. Do you think the Broncos defense can kind of take that over as well?
The Seahawks defense?
The Seahawks defense. My bad. Talking about the Broncos in the chat.
No, that's all right. The comments are getting fun. I think the Seahawks defense is fucking amazing. I just think that when you play your divisional team, they know you well. I think Sean McVay is a genius. I think Matt Stafford's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Devontae Adams a first ballot Hall of Famer. And Puka Nacua is on his way to being that if he stays healthy and keeps putting up the stats he is. I think it's a really tough team to beat, and I don't think it's going to be easy by any means. But like I said, I just trust Matt Stafford, and I trust McVay and those players. more than I trust the other side. But I'm not going to be shocked if the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. Like I said earlier, all three teams are good enough. And to me, the Seahawks are the best defense left in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are definitely the most balanced defense as well. Nico Mamwari actually changes life. The rookie Nico Mamwari changes life for the Seahawks, especially in these games, because he can play so big. The way he can play so big against these big tight ends that he can come out on top as well. Jay, with all that being said, you're taking the Rams at +2.5. I'm going to take the Seahawks at -2.5. I think.
No.
The 12th man, shock. I think the 12th man. I don't think we've seen the best football out of the Rams. We haven't seen the highest possible, like the highest level of play for a while as well. And I like the way that the defense is meant to match up. We'll see how it actually matches up, because Sean McVay is a freak. So we'll see how that goes. So Jay, that is our previews of the division, the championship rounds sorted out. Let's finish off the show with some coaching carousel chaos. This is quickly turning into one of the maddest coaching carousels we've seen in a while.
Yeah. 10 openings, 8 firings, right? So because they say Harbaugh and Tomlin not firing, so like 10 openings, 8 firings or something like that. Yeah, crazy. When there was literally everybody going, there's no coaching candidates this year. People are going to hold on to their team and then all of a sudden everybody got fired.
Yeah, it's everybody got fired, and they were great coaches who got fired. So now we have some great coaches in the coaching pool, in the coaching market as well. The comments have been going, great guys, head into the comments and get involved in the conversation.
And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, guys.
Yeah, and I think with the Rams and the Patriots versus Seahawks, Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl would be great. A replay of why didn't they run it, and Russell Wilson's darkest moment, throwing that interception as well. An interesting replay. Jay, the coaching carousel, what we're going to do here, Jay, is we're going to grade the coaching moves so far. So the head coaching positions that have been taken up, and we're going to talk about one offensive coordinator position because it's semi-interesting as well. But let's start, Jay, with Kevin Stefanski going to the Atlanta Falcons. What grade do you give this move for the Falcons?
The Atlanta Falcons did the most adult shit ever, finally. I give it an A. I give it definitely an A. I love the hiring. Kevin Stefanski will bring stability into that organization. That defense is already clicking. Looks like they're going to keep he was the interim coach for the Jets. I don't know. I'm having a bad memory day, but they're keeping their defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
And Stefanski will come in. He'll get that offense going. I think he keeps Kirk Cousins. We'll see what he does. I think he keeps Kirk Cousins, moves on from Penix. But I think that was an A for the Atlanta Falcons because they have way too much talent to not be getting it out of that offense.
Yeah, I think A+++ for Kevin Stefanski to the Falcons. I think that's the best coaching move we've seen so far. You put Kevin Stefanski's offensive play calling with Bijan Robinson coming out of the backfield and Kirk Cousins, and then their big body wide receivers.
He loves tight ends.
So you have Kyle Pitts and you have Drake London, who is a tight end who plays wide receiver as well. So you have a really great offensive shape. And then what I think has gone under the radar for the Falcons a little bit is their defense might not have been great in terms of consistency throughout the whole season, but their young players that they've put in that defense were really good across the whole span of the season. So their defense should be much better next year as well. The Falcons shouldn't have been in the position that they were in this season. So I think A++ for that one. Jay, John Harbaugh.
Uric was his name. I just remembered.
Oh,
so
Jeff
I threw it.
Ubrick.
I yelled it out.
Jeffrey Ubrick. Yeah. Jay, John Harbaugh to the New York Giants. What's your grade on that one?
I'm not as excited about that as I am for Stefanski, but it is still because it's somebody who's going to bring the right people with him to do what needs to be done for the Giants. The Giants have a lot of exciting young players on the team mixed with that defensive line. I think he'll get them in order and we'll start to the Giants. I'm not as excited about it. I think Stefanski would have been a better hire in New York than Harbaugh, and I think McCarthy would have been a better hire in New York, but I still think it's an A.
Yeah, I think it's an A as well. I think it feels like it's the right thing to do. And the right thing to do is not always the most exciting thing to do. That's how John Harbaugh that's how it feels with John Harbaugh to me. I think they have a culture issue they've had a culture issue for a long period of time, and he comes in and fixes that. He's seen one of the greatest quarterbacks of this modern era in terms of this era with Lamar Jackson. He's seen what lots of winning looks like, and he'll give that to Jackson Dart as well. So I think he's in the right place. I think it's the right call. It's just Kevin Stefanski going to the Falcons. I just kind of found that surprising that was the call that they made, and it was so good. So I feel like John Harbaugh is the correct call. It's an A from me. Jay, Robert Saleh goes to the Tennessee Titans. On this one, can you grade it for the Titans, and then can you also grade it for Robert Saleh? Because
I was going to do that anyway.
Yeah, cool.
No, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say for the Titans, it is an A. For Robert Saleh, this might be a B-. I know you want to coach, and I know there's a few pieces there with Simmons, and you got Cam Ward, who was looking like a real NFL quarterback. But there is a lot to do there. I don't trust the owner. This is the team that fired Vrabel to hire Callahan, to fire Callahan, to I don't know. I feel like Saleh was in such demand. You either wait for the perfect job or just take another season, and you're still going to be wanted next year. Stay in the 49ers. This is your second time. If you fail here, you're not going to get a third chance. There's very few coaches. I think Mike McCarthy might get a third chance, but that's because he won at both places he was before, right? If you don't, this is the end of the road for Saleh. I just think it's a risk for Saleh to take this job, but I think for Tennessee it was like an A.
Yeah, I think Josh feels the opposite way. I think for Tennessee it's a great move because I think they needed a culture builder in the room. I don't think Robert Saleh got a fair shake at the Jets. The Jets organization has been infinitely worse since he left. The reason he got fired is because he took the Jets to being in a place where they look like they might do something. For the Jets, they might do something. And it didn't happen. And then the Jets organization has completely fallen off a cliff since Robert Saleh was there. So I think Robert Saleh is a good hire for the Titans. I think for Robert Saleh himself, I thought you were going to say way worse than a B-. I thought because I'm saying like a B+.
It's because it's an NFL job. I get it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, when you've got the Ravens on the table, the Steelers on the table, although those two organizations would be daft to take a defensive head coach after the reasons that they fired their coaches as well. But with Robert Saleh, I think he comes in and he's shown with the 49ers defense this year that his coaching makes a defense a lot better immediately. And I think the Titans are on an interesting ebb. They're on an interesting flow of improving throughout the season. I don't think the Titans were as bad as other people thought as well. I don't think the Titans finished the season as bad as much people thought they would be because they started the season so poorly. So I think that the Titans, he builds it up. I think it looks good, and I think for him, I agree, NFL job. And I wonder if he just wanted to start something from completely just fresh, he just wanted to build something from the bottom up. And
it doesn't hurt that
stipulations.
It doesn't hurt that it's known as one of the greatest cities in America, Nashville. That doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it not known as one of the greatest states and cities to live in? And
I do
Like,
think Kubiak gets a job. I think he's one of the guys that everybody's waiting for after the playoffs.
Yeah, Kubiak's name's been out there too much for him not to.
And his dad's a Super Bowl winner, so he can lean on that too. His dad played in the NFL behind Elway for years, coached the Denver Broncos to a Super Bowl. Like, yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons. Plus, Kubiak is just a really good coach. But I think beyond that, there's other reasons, and I think he will get one of the jobs that's coming up. Yeah,
and I think if he's smart, he'll be talking to like the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks as well behind Macdonald. Like, he'll be talking to that guy and saying, come with me and I'll let you call the defense, like, as well, because then, that's a system that works. He's learned from someone really good. So I think Kubiak also brings the possibility of having a really good, young, unknown defensive coordinator too. So that aids him too. Jeff Hafley went to the Miami Dolphins. What do you make of that one?
Can I grade it WTF?
Yeah.
Can I grade it? What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? So from Boston College, comes in, doesn't do much with the Packers. The players really love him because he's a great guy. Yeah, great. Miami decides this is the guy we're going to hire. I don't get it that he didn't do anything on the defensive side of the ball to say genius to me when there was way better defensive coaches out there, which I'm glad, that Miami just wants to be a dumpster fire for some reason. Good for you. I don't get it. But, it doesn't make any sense to me. This is the one hiring that the more I think about it, the less sense it makes to me.
Yeah, you were quite keen. You were semi-keen on it to start with because everybody in the NFL seems to like him, which I kind of get. I feel like listening.
Well, no, that was just my argument, is that the players love him. That's why he went. But I don't think that that's a good reason to hire a head coach. No, I get that he might bring Matt LaFleur's brother from the Niners over Mike, but okay.
Yeah, give Mike LaFleur the job then, if that's the reason. But it's with Hafley in this situation, I think I'm going to grade it an incomplete. He hasn't handed in his work yet. I haven't got actually enough idea of who he is as a coach to give a solid grade. But with this, it just doesn't make sense because Hafley was given a defense that we were supposed to believe at the start of the season was going to be this incredible defense with Micah Parsons on it. And he was good at moving Micah Parsons around a lot more than what they did with him in Dallas. And that looked kind of good. But I thought Micah Parsons looked the worst he's looked since he played in the NFL in the system. And that can be largely down to injury and all of that kind of stuff. But the defense for the Green Bay Packers wasn't good. It didn't live up to the billing of the players that people have said was on the defense. So you've hired a guy from a defense that wasn't necessarily great. And then you've put him in there. And I get maybe it's Miami are just happy to have a grown up in the room who's liked by people and that kind of stuff. Maybe that's just a good start point. But to go from Mike Macdonald to Jeff Hafley feels wrong. That feels like you've just gone too far the opposite way, right?
Yeah, unless they're hey, let's bring in a guy that's easy to fire next year when we can get a better coach. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a terrible point. They're waiting for Mike Tomlin to do his. Maybe Mike Tomlin will go do his year broadcasting, and then he'll be a Miami Dolphin next season. And then Jay, finally, the ex-Miami Dolphin head coach is now the offensive coordinator at the Los Angeles Chargers. What do you rate this?
I mean, he'll help the Chargers, but this makes no sense to me for McDaniel. You ever want to be a head coach again, but let's go to a team that I don't get to call the plays, and that no matter how good we do, the head coach is going to get all the credit. And I know everybody right now is going, he's going to be great, and he's going to help that team. Sure, and he's going to get zero of the fucking credit because by the end of the year, nobody's going to be talking about him. They're going to be talking about how Jim Harbaugh turned this team around. Look at what Jim Harbaugh's doing, and it just doesn't make sense to me for McDaniel. That's where it doesn't make sense. And I think that the Lions shit the bed by not getting him.
Yeah.
I think we know they had every opportunity and they never offered. Like, that doesn't make sense to me with Jahmyr Gibbs and all that over there. It doesn't make sense to me, but go do you. I think you'll really help the Chargers. I think that'll be great for their offense. It just doesn't make sense to me for Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, not being able to get – like, there was a couple of places where I thought, how can you not get Mike McDaniel in the room to be your offensive coordinator? So you have Detroit. That's just one of the greatest fumbles ever to not get him in the building. And then you also have, like, the Commanders with Cliff Kingsbury. Is Cliff Kingsbury definitely gone from the Commanders? Because he said he was
they parted ways.
Yeah, they
parted
moved,
ways.
and then we've just heard nothing from the Commanders about hiring an offensive coordinator or Cliff Kingsbury going and taking another job. By the way, like, the fact that Cliff Kingsbury still out
what's
there
happening
is
is
amazing to me.
Every coordinator's holding out because they've already have deals with other guys. Like, hey, if I get the Ravens job, you're going to be my coordinator. Hey, if I get the Steelers job, you're going to be my. And I think once those head coaching vacancies drop, we'll see the rest of it just fall right in line.
Yeah, exactly. So McDaniel going to Detroit would have been perfect, but McDaniel going to Washington would have made loads of sense as well. Or there's plenty of openings where Mike McDaniel would have made a lot of sense and would have been pretty fucking interesting to be there straight away. Mike McDaniel, if that's a great call. Mike McDaniel, if Kubiak goes and Mike McDaniel comes into Seattle, that immediately becomes, like, interesting as well. But Mike McDaniel is at the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not sure whether he doesn't get to call the plays. I don't know whether he would have taken the job if he didn't get to call the plays, I guess. I feel like what's going to happen is Jim
Harbaugh's always called the plays.
Yeah, what's going to happen is Jim Harbaugh is maybe focusing on the bigger game plan, but he doesn't seem to me like the kind of guy that wants to give up control. So whatever they've said to Mike McDaniel, I feel like they've lied to him, because I feel like it would be weird if he went in and wasn't able to call it himself. And then they've just lied to the poor guy is what's going to happen. Maybe he just wanted to be back in LA.
Well, his wife is from LA, so there is probably something to do with that. And the reason I guess he didn't take the Philly job is because him and Vic Fangio fucking can't stand each other from their time in Miami. So they don't want to work together. I think he'd have been electric with Saquon and what he could have done with Jalen Hurts being able to run the ball. And I think he'd have been electric there. But it just doesn't make sense to me. But if you want to live in, like, Los Angeles, I can't be mad at you, and your wife's family's from there, and you want to just take a breath and decompress from being a head coach in a just awful situation with a shit owner. Go do that. And I think he'll really help that team. It doesn't make sense to me. That's all.
Yeah, I think their run game becomes completely, like, more inventive. Like Harbaugh has had, like, great, like, has run the ball very well, but it's not an inventive run game that Harbaugh runs it. So I think Mike McDaniels adds a bit of inventiveness to the play calling and that kind of stuff as well. So for that move, I'm going to say it's like a B for the Chargers there, and then maybe a B- for Mike McDaniel because of his family stuff and the want to decompress and everything. Yeah, but there's some other, like, the Cowboys have just filled their coaching opening with the defensive pass game coordinator for the Eagles. So that Vic Fangio stuff, we've got a Vic Fangio disciple in the building now for the Dallas Cowboys as our defensive coordinator as well, but don't know enough about the guy to, like, actually grade the move or anything. Jay, there is still openings at the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cleveland Browns. It's crazy that there's still that many openings even after everything as well. Jay, who do you think are the lead candidates for these jobs? Where do you think they're going to go? Who do you think makes the most sense to go?
I'm just going to tell you, if I was them, who I would take, because trying to speculate is crazy, right? I would, if I'm Baltimore, I'm going for Clint Kubiak. I want an offensive guy to come in who understands the NFL. He's a first-time head coach, but he comes from a coaching family, so it won't be as rocky of a start. And I think you just need to get in there on the opposite. end of what you've been doing, and you need to get an offensive guy to work with Lamar. I think that's really going to keep Lamar happy. You're coming onto a contract. So I think that would be a good move. I don't know if they should. I have this weird suspicion that they're going to hire Brian Daboll in Buffalo. That's what it sounds like. They're going to go with a Josh Allen guy. I don't know. So that would be a bad hire to me, but that's what it's sounding like. If I'm Buffalo, I want a guy, again, either like Kubiak, or if you want a defensive guy, I don't even want to say his name, but there's this guy in Minnesota that would fit perfectly, I think, there, but I don't want him to go there, so we won't bring that up. And for the Steelers, I also think that guy in Minnesota, who we won't say his name, would be perfect there, but I think that's what they're doing. They're going to go with a young coordinator. I think that's just what we see a lot out of Pittsburgh. Zach Curry, that's not a bad one there. I heard some people were interested in Josh McDaniels, but McDaniels isn't interested in them. So you get to keep your offensive coordinator.
With Brian Flores, Jay. But before we just move on, with Brian Flores, he's just signed a new deal with the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think that actually means anything for his prospects of staying? Because he's been having interviews and then comes out and signs the extension.
Well, I think he was using leverage to get the highest deal he could get, because he's going to be the highest paid coordinator. And there's actually rumors that he's going to get like interim head coaching money, intro level. But what it does for the Vikings is, and I think this was really great of him to do because he didn't have to. If he didn't absolutely like Voldemort, we don't say his name because he needs to stay. If he does take a head coaching job now because he re-signed, the Vikings get a third-round compensatory pick. If he didn't re-sign, they don't get that pick because he had no contract.
Yeah, and I think with the other thing with Brian Flores is, if you're getting that like interim head coaching money, it's less like his lawsuit with the NFL kind of loses a lot of steam if he goes and takes a head coaching job. Like if he goes and takes a head coaching job. But if you turn one down,
don't you automatically lose? Don't you kind of automatically lose if you turn one down?
Yeah, that's a fair point. You automatically lose if you turn one down, I suppose. Yep, I suppose. But having the job, maybe he's walking in and like stinking up interviews. Like when like someone's convinced you to apply for a job you don't really want. So you go in to like make them feel better that you've gone in and tried to get the job, and then you just stink up the interview like immediately. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I have. But you go in and you just make a terrible interview, and that's what he's been doing, maybe, Brian Flores. But Jay, I think the one that makes the most sense for Pittsburgh is Mike McCarthy, right? Mike McCarthy is the guy who makes the most sense for Pittsburgh, like immediately.
Yeah, I would love that, but that's not really their MO. So do they do it? I don't know. We'll see. I hope, because McCarthy, I think, was interviewing today for that job. So I hope that they give it to him. He's a Pittsburgh guy. I think he'd be great there. And I think he's a guy that Aaron Rodgers would actually come back and play one more year for, and then that gives you another year to figure out your quarterback situation.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot about the Raiders as well. The Raiders have an opening for their head coaching position.
Well, yeah, and that's where I think that they should go with Mike McCarthy. That was my landing spot. I don't think they will, but I think that's who you should go for with the Raiders is Mike McCarthy. And I'm going to say it again, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, Jim Schwartz should be the head coach of that fucking team. What he's done with that defense, he's been a head coach before. Guys learn from their first stop and get better. Do not know why we're not hearing more about Jim Schwartz being the fucking head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, with the stuff with the Buffalo Bills, Jay, and saying about bringing in Brian Daboll, one, it's fucking mad. That is so dumb. Like, Brian Daboll was not a good head coach in New York. Like, he's technically a decent quarterback guy, but not really. Look how much better Daniel Jones is now that he's not now that he's not with Brian Daboll as well. And he went with Shane Steichen. So that Brian Daboll pick, I find.
I think strange. Bill Belichick would be a great move, but I don't.
Bill Belichick and bringing Cliff Kingsbury to do the offensive coordinating on the side of the ball, right? But with the Bills, that's what makes the sacking of Sean McDermott so strange here. And it's obviously just because of infighting. The Buffalo Bills would have probably been the best coaching position in this carousel. But because John Harbaugh got hired so early, Kevin Stefanski's been hired so early, it then doesn't make sense for them to kind of do the move now because you've lost the best coaching opportunity. So that just seems strange to me with the Sean McDermott hiring. But guys, we are getting into the NFC and AFC Championship previews. Next week we'll have to talk about our awards before the NFL awards. Who's our MVP, Comeback Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Players, all of those kind of stuff. So stick around for that. Make sure to hit the subscribe buttons, and we'll definitely be back with you for reviews of these championship games. Jay, send us out like you always do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. If you wouldn't mind to share the content, hit the notification button because we got 7 shows going on this channel. And if you ain't got nothing to do, as soon as you tune out here, Montana and David are over live right now with Well Beyond the Arc talking about the NBA season. All right, everybody. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.